I wasn't planning on talking to you about this today, but I was a little overwhelmed a little earlier on what's happening, and I asked Pat to stay in the studio here for a second, and talk me out of this with you, Stu. Let me just give you some of the headlines today. Hong Kong descends into chaos again as protesters defy the ban. NBA arenas prepare for protests. Hundreds of thousands take over the streets in Lebanon. New clashes in Chile. We are at war. The political risks grow in Latin America. Just giving you the headlines. Scientists fuse brains with AI implants to give people superhuman intelligence. Let's see. Mulvaney faced ouster threat before impeachment crisis. Allies craft list of potential replacements. President in key stretch of fragile state. Insult comic act of president becomes dangerous. Second 4 years could be even crazier. Democrats are cashing in on struggle. It just goes on and on. Romney may vote to remove Trump. Alienated Republicans influenced by G7 reversal. Goes on and on and on. Bad. And it's global. Those don't include the economic headlines that are important. The economic headlines, the Fed has gone back in again for a second round of this thing that no financial expert can even explain. Never happened before. We don't know why the banks are needing these bailouts. They've been having bailouts in the hundreds of trillions of dollars, and we're back at it again, printing money. Why? No one knows. Okay. When I was back in Radio City Music Hall, I talked about two things on a show. One, how the progressive elites, they were actually the Fabian socialists in England, how they were all for and really plotted World War I. And the reason why they plotted it was because they wanted a new world order. They wanted to take down the old rule, change the borders, change the financial system, and have a new world order. This is basically the first stab at a European Union and a first stab at a United Nations. Okay? So what did they do? Well, they had to have war to change this and to change currencies. You have to have a war. And it has to be so bad that in the end, everything changes and no one cares. They just want it to end. They want the pain and the suffering to end. And so they don't care really what the borders look like. They don't care that they've changed currencies or changed traditions. They want it to end. Well, we saw that with World War I. And we saw that the world was not the same. We became the leader where England was the leader. We sank. We insisted that the greatest navy on earth sink her ships to play in this new world order. And that was England. We insisted that they leave their alliance with Japan and start one with us, which led to Pearl Harbor. All of the borders that they changed, they imposed them on Germany in such a painful way that they planted all the seeds for World War II. After World War II, they finally got their new world order in the United Nations, and the EU started to spring to life. Now that is collapsing. The economic stability that they built is collapsing. And they are eyeing now a borderless world. They want a borderless world because it's good for them with trade. If they don't have to worry about all these governments, it's good for trade. And if we could just have one world currency, if we could collapse all at the same time, maybe we don't owe money to each other. Maybe it can be so bad we can just restart and everybody loses everything, but we're going to just restart. It sounds crazy, But I said, if you want to bring down the world, you have to bring down America, and you have to bring her currency and her situation. You have to bring it into instability and bring it down to the level of everyone else. Then that fall can happen, and they all fall together. It sounded crazy, but let me ask you a couple of things. What you need is failing economies, and you need global crisis. Now, they've been trying this with the global crisis to get a new economy. They've been trying to do it the green way. But the green way is not working. Nobody's going to go there. Nobody's going to go there because it doesn't make any sense to spend that kind of money without real proof that anything is going to change, that it's going to help at all. So they've been trying to make green their new red. But instead, what we have is a group of countries that are not listening to the people. And so you have chaos now in Hong Kong, in China, in Taiwan, in Germany, in Venezuela, Argentina, Spain, Chile, Russia, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Brexit this week. Now, if everybody in the EU knew that Brexit was going to cause the problems that they say it's going to cause, you would think that the EU might blink at the last minute, unless they know this isn't going to work and they need to start from scratch and cause chaos. You also have to have everybody printing and spending like drunken sailors. You have to jack everyone's debt up so high that when it falls, everybody falls. You have to devalue currency. This is the plan of World War I. This is happening right now. Now, the Constitution says to create a more perfect union, provide for common defense, and to promote domestic tranquility. So if I take an oath of office and I say I will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, and I will protect it from all threats, foreign and domestic. If someone is working against promotion of domestic tranquility, they are an enemy of the American people, and they are an enemy of the Constitution. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have strife. That doesn't mean we don't have arguments. But it does mean, wait a minute, is what you're doing adding in a great way to a road that takes us to civil war? There was a study that came out 3 weeks ago, Stu, and the number, and it was done by the left. It was not done. It was, an educational, or it's a study done not by conservatives. And they wanted to find what are the leading causes of civil war. What would trigger a civil war? Now, why would you do that? Why would you want to find that out?
And see how people are going to be activated if something like this is going to happen.
Right. What could possibly lead to that? Mm-hmm. So if you are in good intent, you can avoid those things, right? Mm-hmm. If you have bad intent, so you can do those things. So a major study is done. What are the things that could ignite a civil war? Number one is to create the atmosphere where people believe, or you actually take the act to take away people's guns. Number one, cause a civil war in the United States. New survey, new poll. Second, impeach Donald Trump. Now, why is that? They believe impeaching Donald Trump is a fuse to civil war because we're so close to an election. Why would you impeach him when the people should decide? Let the people decide. It's all out there, so let them decide. But also because the press has so discredited itself, and Congress and the administration and the judges and everyone else has so discredited themselves that everything will seem like a coup. I mean, look what Hillary Clinton is saying. She's currently saying she lost because Trump was a Russia asset, and it's happening again. Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset. I'm telling you right now, everything is in line. Everything is in line right now for global war and a reset. There are people, like it or not, that do have tons of power and money that believe they know what's best, and what's best is a reset. And these people just don't know. They just won't get out of their way. They're just too stupid. And they will reset us. But the way to do it is through global war.